Hello and welcome back to Uncle Matt's Cookery Lessons. I'm going to make the very classic British bread and butter pudding. Not bread pudding, that's something completely different. This is the one with the custard and it's awesome. I'm going to run you through the ingredients now.
There's the recipe on the screen. You need to use some of the butter just to brush your dish. So whatever dish you decide to use, make sure it's deep enough for you to be able to get 2 layers of bread in. I believe that 2 layers is optimum. Times I've tried to be more generous and I've gone on 3 layers, and you end up with a very heavily stodgy bread and butter pudding. So 2 it is. Now you may notice that the recipe said 10 slices of bread, and what you see on the board there, if you're being eagle-eyed, is 8. I realised after I built the first layer that I needed 1 more slice, so you will need 10 slices of bread for this. Remove the crusts, and unless you're using something posh like brioche or something, I suggest you just buy standard white bread. You know, the stuff that will stay fresh after you've gone on holiday and you come back and it's still fine for sandwiches. That cheap stuff. Remove the crusts, cut them in half. You can cut them in triangles if you want. I don't see the need, so I don't do it. It doesn't seem to make the finished dish look any different when I do it. And I butter one side generously. You can try buttering both sides if you like, but you'll make a right mess on your board. I always start with the fruit. In this case I'm using sultanas that I've soaked in water. Feel free to soak them in rum or brandy, whatever, extra bit of flavour, that would be nice. And I've gone fairly light with the sultanas. I don't put too many. It's a compromise because my lady doesn't really like them very much, but I do. I think you have to have them in there, but I've gone light, and that's a compromise. And there's a bit of relationship advice on Uncle Matt's Cookery Lessons. Compromise is the secret of a successful relationship. You weren't expecting to get that, were you, on this channel? Anyway, this is the custard we're making. This is a raw egg custard to bake inside the bread and butter pudding. I'm using 5 eggs to just over a pint, and it's mostly milk, a little bit of cream. That was some mixed spice. Feel free to put nutmeg or cinnamon or nothing. It's up to you. Again, it's all down to you. The sugar goes in. And I'm using a vanilla paste, so it's like from real vanilla product. It's very nice. If you want to use a vanilla pod, what you do, you need to split that, put it in the milk and the cream, bring that up to the boil to infuse the flavour. I still have put my milk and cream on to come to the boil because it's just going to speed the process up. Now when you're adding, like I'm going to do here, hot milk to raw eggs, you have to keep stirring it, whisking it, and add it in slowly, otherwise you'll have scrambled egg, and that's only nice for breakfast. Right, it's all pretty straightforward and simple so far. Got to get your custard over the bread. Now this does look like a lot, and this is a lot, but this is how I like my bread and butter pudding. It's so much more than bread and butter. I think custard is the key element, and this is almost filled to the top, and that's what I think makes it so yummy. Who wants a dry bread and butter pudding? Hands up. Nope, none, nobody. Now I give them a bit of a dunk to make sure they're fully submerged, and then I also leave this for a good 10 minutes or so or more before it goes in the oven. Give it time to soak up. And if you're using a staler bread, which I should have done, I only bought my bread the day before I used it, you might need to leave it 20 minutes. Give it time to absorb. And that was additional sugar, not on the recipe. I just decided last minute I thought I'd add a bit more sugar on top, see if I can get it a bit crunchy. Feel free to not do that if you don't fancy it. Now this is 10 minutes. You can see how the integrity of the consistency of it has changed. It's really gloopy and soggy, and that's what we want when we put it in the oven. So in the oven it goes. Right, homemade custard, or creme anglaise if you want to sound poncy about it. That's 50-50 milk and cream. More vanilla paste, again if you're using a vanilla pod, just one will do. Split it, scrape it, and add it in with the pod as well, because the pod's got a lot of vanilla flavour as well as the beans inside. Just egg yolks for this custard. So that's me separating the egg yolks. You can, if you want to try another method, you can crack the egg into your hand and try to let the egg white drip through your fingers. It's a bit messy, it's a bit gross really. I prefer this method. Right, so the sugar, the eggs together, combine that. It feels really grainy. This is actually quite a coarse ground sugar I've got. Don't worry about it whisking this until it thickens up like a ribbon stage. That's not necessary. You don't need to change the colour to a pale colour. You just need to make sure it's well mixed. We're going to add on the hot milk and cream in a second, and it will dissolve all the sugar. And again, if you are using a vanilla pod, you might want to leave that a bit longer to simmer to get a bit more flavour from the pod. But whatever you're doing, same process again as before. Keep whisking it whilst you add in bit at a time, slowly, slowly, slowly. As you've got more in there, it's tempered at that stage. You can be a bit more bold and you can add a bit more in. But certainly at the beginning, nice and slowly, at the end, whack it in, but keep stirring it all the way. So that is ready to be cooked. You could do this a day before, let that cool down, keep it in the fridge, and then when you've got your bread and butter pudding in the oven, it's about ready to serve, pop it on the stove and bring it up to heat. And you'll see in a minute, once you've got it up to heat, it will thicken up nice and quickly. So that is ready to start cooking. Yum. So that's had 30 minutes at 180 degrees, which is, there you go, 356 Fahrenheit. It isn't completely cooked yet. This is apricot jam. What I've done with it, I just popped it in the microwave for sort of 10 to 20 seconds to get it runny, so I can brush it on the top. Give that a real thorough brushing. You could use marmalade if you like, that would also be very nice. Anyway, that needs another 10 minutes in the oven. Now you could serve it straight away. I like another little finishing touch on this. So, here goes. That is icing sugar. I believe across the pond you may call that confectioner's sugar or powdered sugar. But the language is English, so we're right. It's icing sugar. Now that is my blowtorch. You could put this under the grill if you don't want to have it, if you haven't got a blowtorch. Or you can go to your local hardware store and buy one. If you're going to get one from a hardware store. Do not go to a specialist catering shop, because they'll charge you 2 or 3 times as much. Doesn't that look nice? I think that elevates a really standard, lovely dessert, but a dessert that had a bad reputation because it's been butchered by many a dinner lady over the decades. But that elevates it to something a little bit more special, in my opinion. A nice little glazed, crunchy top. Now I'm only going to warm up enough of my custard for one portion because it's not for the day I've made it really. This is my bread and butter pudding is in the fridge, chilled, and I will reheat it when I want it. So just one portion of custard on the lowest heat you've got. Do not try to rush this because you'll scramble it. So nice and slowly. So it will take a little bit longer to come up to temperature, but that's what you want. Once it does get hot though, it will thicken very quickly, so you cannot leave this alone. You have to continually stir it and move it around. And I do recommend one of these spatulas because they're very good at scraping along the bottom to stop it from sticking. And then when you think it's thickening up a little bit, you can do the back of the spoon test, which I'll do in a moment. Here we go. If you can draw a line through it and the line holds, it's done. It will carry on thickening up. Now if you do go a bit over, and if it does get a bit scrambled, put it through a sieve. No one will notice. Now there's an old custom in this country where you have to put your custard in a jug, and it will become obvious in a minute. You might think it's a waste of time, but you need to move the jug clockwise around the bread and butter pudding and put it back in the corner again. That's obviously not true. I don't know why I did that. That was weird. But that is yummy. Don't be tight with the custard. Drown it. Oh my god. Scoop of vanilla ice cream would also be very nice. Or even just some double cream. Whatever you want to do with it, it is really, really lovely. That's why I use so much raw custard when I'm baking it, because I want it to be, it's more of a custard dish. Think creme brulee with some bread rather than bread and butter pudding. Anyway, thank you very much once more for watching Uncle Matt's Cookery Lessons. I really do appreciate it. If you fancy subscribing, please do. We're getting there. It's beginning to grow now. I'm loving making these videos. There will be more coming soon, so please don't forget to check me out then. Until then, bye.